And we're live. Hi, Theresa. Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome.
Hola, Clara.
Hola, Timani. Hi, everybody. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, excited to be
I won't ask you how, well, I know how you are. It's hot where you are.
back.
Guess
Yes,
what?
it is.
Newsflash. It's hot where I am too.
Indeed. Oh, this is too much fun. Too much fun. Let me make my background. Okay, just making a little cuter here. All right. And we're ready to do this. Hi, Jill. Hey, Jill. Yes, here we are. Timani and Clara. Hi, Amy. How are you, Amy? Curator of Thrift is saying hi. And Susie was first in the house. Welcome, everybody. What an exciting topic we have, T, today. Can you share with our audience a little? Obviously, we're going to be talking about exploring the benefits and challenges of being an everything seller versus a niche down seller. But we're going to be talking in some topics, T. What do you think about this topic today? Because I think you, me, Trish, everybody's been in this situation. What to do?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one because I am a everything seller, but I'm getting ready to niche down in a couple of, well, some people think that and I agree with this, that my new retail arbitrage athletic clothing and shoes could be a niche. I would agree with that. And then I am going to be niching down to quilting stuff, selling off my and my mother's quilting stuff. And yeah, so but I still sell everything else too.
Yeah, that is interesting because also in our my journey with Amanda, we started being everything sellers until we were able to niche down on vintage clothing, and we can't wait to tell you as we progress on this event and tell you why we decided to niche down and how did we take that decision and when did we take that decision in our reseller journey. But I think one of the most exciting things that we can talk about it, let's start with the positive, Teresa. What do you think about the pros of being an everything seller? What do you think?
Well, I think that everything seller is you can find inventory anywhere. You can find, and part of me being an everything seller is that I was selling all the stuff for my downsizing of my big house. I'm
Yeah.
selling when I had to sell off my mom or um, move out of my mom's house and sell her house. I was much more picky about the stuff that I saved versus the stuff that I donated, because I already been through it and I knew what that is like.
Yeah.
And it's still fun. It's still fun to do that, but it's easier to get inventory. You can get inventory, retail arbitrage, garage sales, thrifting, all the normal places, from your friends, from your family, consignment. There's just all kinds of things that you can get. And there is an endless supply of
Yep.
things that people want to get rid of or that we
Yep.
can buy and flip.
Yeah, and I think within being everything seller, you're gonna be finding or quick things that you want to flip, or you're gonna be sourcing something that is exploratory for you. Maybe
Yeah.
you wanna maybe you're niche down now, and you're like, you know what, my sales are slow. I need to try other things, and I should be trying everything. So there is no right journey here where to start. You can start as a niche, and then you go to everything, or from everything like we did with Teresa, and then transition down to niche. Everybody's journey is different.
And I think that the pandemic forced some people that were very niche to
Oh,
expand because their niche items were not easily accessible, or we weren't out shopping like we were. So I mean,
yeah,
it can be all over the place, and I don't think there's anything wrong with niching down. Maybe the only thing you want to sell is music or craft or whatever like that. And so or you can, like me, I think I'm a mishmash of both.
yeah,
So but it's always, when you get started, this is something I
yeah,
usually tell people, unless you're like, closing out a retail store or something, when you get started, it's easier to start selling things around your house because you already have them. And by not niching down, you have access to a broader audience. If
Yeah.
I niche down and just sell quilting supplies, while that is a
Yeah.
huge market, I'm only going to be selling to quilters.
Yeah.
Where, if
And
you
your sourcing journey has to be directly your efforts, whether it's
correct,
quilting or electronics or furniture, everything, all of these items can be done with List Perfectly. We support all categories. But what is important is that when you're going to be sourcing a certain category of specific items, your sourcing is going to be a little more challenging. So you're going to need a lot of more contacts. I think, that was one of the reasons we started to sell everything with Amanda. She always was niched on vintage clothing. But when we joined together on our partnership, to those of you that are sole entrepreneurs, what I did, because Amanda realized she didn't like listing. As you know, that's why we built a software company out of desperation. And then add to that, that I wanted to grow the business. And I remember that we went from doing vintage to everything. And then we went to vintage clothing, knowing more of, and we had more contacts in order to niche down. That was for me a good return of my investment, because I was able to have those contacts in the past that maybe they're not sourcing that, but they knew my reputation. And because of that, they would bring that stuff and tell me, Clara, I got you this.
yeah. And that could be another reason that you would niche down, is that you would have access to inventory that you didn't have access to before. You would have access to a vendor or something like that. So that would be, that would be another way. Let's just be very clear. There's not a right or wrong way,
Yep.
because niching works for some and selling everything works for others. And sometimes, I think if I have to list another pair of shoes, I'm going to choke. But, there's some variety. Well, let me go list these other things for a while. And there's I don't know, just it works better for me. I don't get bored.
Now, the other thing is when you're selling everything, you're appealing to a broader audience. And if you are selling everything and you're not selling on eBay, you're missing out. eBay, your website, Shopify are things that if you're selling everything, definitely you want to appeal to those marketplaces with a wider audience like eBay, Poshmark, etc.
Absolutely. And eBay, we say eBay because eBay is the biggest one out there. It's Amazon, and then eBay and Walmart go neck and neck for this number 2 spot. So we definitely, you need to be, there are some barriers, especially if you started listing on Poshmark or Mercari. Everybody
Yeah.
gets tripped up over the shipping, but come to a listing party, talk to another seller, and we'll walk you through it. How to do that. But definitely we should be selling on eBay. eBay has the I don't know, like 198 countries that eBay sells in, and 184 million active users. So it's just a really broad reach.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and the
It says it reduces the risk that we
Yeah,
have, okay, in order to get a faster return of investment.
correct. Yeah. So by diversifying, you absolutely reduce the risk. If everybody had, if you were in, trying to think of something that is no longer, I
Yeah,
don't know, if you, however many years ago, you were in the business of selling desk phones, you would
yeah.
be out of business if that's all you sold.
That's right. That's right. That's important. Maybe always staying up to trends, or doing everything. It's a great idea to diversify and increase your exposure. But also, let's talk about the ugly side of selling everything. And we're going to talk to you about inventory management systems and what a challenge is to store everything, because we had hangers in my garage, okay, for clothing, but then we have totes for hard goods, and then we have also totes for more delicate stuff. So it becomes complex between coming with a rack system, with a bin system, with a shelf system. So can you elaborate a little about that in your journey, Teresa?
Yeah, I have, my inventory system works for me. I have all the same size boxes on rolling racks, and I think I'm up to like 415 boxes now. And I just put everything in a box. So I don't care if it's a jacket, I don't care if it's a breakable, I don't care if it's shoes. They just, and the idea behind that is that if I sell, a cassette tape and I go to box, 185, there should only be one cassette tape in there. And then I just know, oh, here's the cassette tape, and I pull it out. Where if I had a whole box of cassette tapes, I'd be looking for them to figure out which one it is that I sold. Now, there are some things we do bubble wrap and package, and everything are breakables when we take pictures and inventory them and list them so that they go into the inventory. We don't, nothing's prepackaged. I don't box anything. When I weigh my item, I weigh it, I call it a naked weight. And that just means that it's without a box. So that way, if I list it and it shows that it's 1 pound and 15 ounces, then I know that I got to list it in my 2 to 3 pound box.
Yeah.
Because by the time I get a box and packaging, it's going to be in the 2 to 3 pound range. So it's just easier for me. I don't want to spend the time. I don't want to spend a lot of time packaging stuff so that it's safe in my inventory box that may never sell. So we will bubble wrap around it. It's not enough to ship in. It's just enough to protect it while it's in the box.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Now, when it comes for one of the things I admire from you, yes, T, is that you have an incredible inventory management system. You sell everything, but we know that you're niching down a little. So stay tuned, because we're going to tell you soon what is Theresa doing. And yes, she's niching down. Okay. But in the meantime, T, what would you say makes you so successful with your inventory management? Because I remember, honestly, I'm not getting paid by Theresa, okay? So I went to her inventory storage, and it was so perfectly organized. We were playing a game of how fast we could find her items. And literally, of course, it was super easy. So T, what would you say made you get to this point in your road about your inventory system, and what could you share with our audience so they get motivated to have a neat inventory management system where anybody from your neighbors, your teenager relatives can go and do shipping for you? Because that's the key of reselling success, is being able to delegate some things into people.
For sure. And it's funny because, this was not, I didn't invent this. It's just something that morphed over time. Before I moved out of, I keep calling it my big house because it had 6 bedrooms, and every extra closet had inventory in it, inventory in the garage, inventory everywhere. And so I would only know where that stuff was. And then when I moved out of that space, because the space was very limiting, and I moved to another house up north that had a Quonset hut, which is a half round metal thing that happened to be on the property. And in the back of it was a 15 by 40 foot eBay room. And I started to kind of morph my stuff in there. But then I still had Christmas over here and Easter over here and Halloween over here. And when I moved out of that space into my Airbnb, I bought an Airbnb so I could use the garage as the inventory storage. That's when I decided, and I had all these boxes of stuff from me moving, because I decided that rather than donate all this stuff from downsizing, I was going to sell it.
Yep.
So I had all these boxes in the living room, and I didn't, how was I going to get it? How was I going to get them out of the boxes and into my inventory? So that's when I created the system where everything goes in a box that's not labeled before it gets listed. And then once we pull a box off, we take the pictures of it, we put it in a numbered box. And that's just kind of how it started. And we just kind of worked from there. And all my inventory are on rolling racks, which is in the garage. It was a big deal because I could, in 5 minutes, take all these 28 racks out of the garage, blow out the garage, and put them all back. And that's pretty funny. So
okay, I couldn't resist myself, but yeah, I love it. You sold that plastic glass, okay, from eBay that is red. I'll never forget, for $30.
No, it was a Mountain Dew. It was a plastic Mountain Dew glass that somebody had given me because I'm a Mountain Dew drinker. And when I moved out of my house, I'm like, I had 3 of them. I don't need these plastic Mountain Dew glasses anymore. And I don't know, I sold it for like probably $20 a piece or something, ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah, it was incredible. And that's what I liked, it, practice with everything you don't use anymore in your house. And you'll be surprised what you can sell and people pay money for. But organization is key, right?
Yeah, so part of this journey is that
Yeah.
I was tracking everything that I sold, and I thought it would be hard to sell my things. It turned out it was super fun. I loved
Yeah.
it when I would sell something that I bought for $8 for $60. But I was tracking it, and I thought that if I listed all this stuff full time in the first year, I could make $100,000. Well, it took me longer than that, but I think it was in my sixth year. Mind you, I didn't really start listing this stuff, my personal stuff, religiously and get it all up until COVID. But I hit $100,000. So all that stuff that I would, and I still have plenty of stuff that's listed that hasn't sold yet.
Yeah.
So I think I'm up to $112,000 that I've sold in my personal stuff. Now,
Oh, wow.
that's over time. I moved out of that house in 2016. So it's been a while. It took me, I would do a little here, a little there. It took me when COVID to get it up. But that's an idea of selling everything. And if you're just starting, you would be surprised at all the stuff you have around your house that people would want to buy.
Yeah.
I always tell people I bought it. So if I bought it one time, wouldn't somebody else want to buy it?
Yep.
So
No, absolutely. So, would you say when it comes, what was the challenges that you kind of roughly, what were some of the challenges you encountered by doing everything, selling everything? What would you say to our audience? Watch out for this when you're selling everything.
Well, so for me, it was because again, I was downsizing and I was trying to sell all my things and it was fun. But for me, it was like, okay, you don't need to list something for $10. Like, do not list something for $10. If I have a $10 item, I will lot it with something else so I can sell it for $20
Yeah.
and make it make sense. Like I had refrigerator magnets that, I'm not going to sell one refrigerator magnet. So I would put, 7 or 8 of them in and sell it for $14.99 or something like that.
Oh, nice.
So that would be one thing that, for people not to get hung up about. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't even think I sell anything under $12 plus shipping. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Hey, the audience, Julie is asking, how many items do you have, Theresa? So not only you're going to answer, but look, I'm going to put you on the spot.
On the spot. Oh, I have 5,900. Oh, that's 5,900. Oh, it's down. I thought I had 6,400 listings.
Oh, you've been
50
selling.
5,900 listings on active eBay listings, but I have a lot of multi-quantity listings. So
Oh,
in my inventory, I have over 10,000 items that I store. So
love it. Look at, there you have it. She's selling from a table to clothing to wigs to dishes, cameras, security system. You know where to find it. Club Red 97.
there you go. Yeah, and you can see that there's a little bit of everything there. And I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, so I have saved. I'm not afraid to list something or sell it, but for a new seller, or I mean, you don't even have to be a new seller. I've been doing this for a long time, and I still sell everything. So, it's just my preference.
No,
And
absolutely. Uh-huh.
let's not forget, I started in a niche. I started selling red things,
Ooh.
only red.
Oh, please do tell that story. That's my favorite star.
So
Favorite story, people. She's Club Red 97, but tell us more about what's your
yes.
favorite color.
My favorite color is green. No, my favorite color is red. But I started selling red things. And it just made me happy. If red garden hose, a red stapler, a red, salt and pepper shaker, whatever I found that was red, I would buy them and sell them. And I did that for a very long time. And that was just mostly, I was working full time. So that was mostly my, what do I call it? My spending money. I was making about $800 to $1,000 a month. And that was just spending money when I was working full time.
Yeah.
And I was still working full time a long time when I branched out. I have no idea when I branched out and started selling other things, but I sold just red things for several years.
Her favorite saying is, "These would be more expensive or worth more if it was red."
Yeah,
Okay,
you
so
can see that
that's her favorite tip. Okay.
all my red stuff, because my kitchen is being redone, and so all the stuff out of the cabinets are on the table back there. But yeah, it's all red because why not?
Yeah, that's right. Now, when it came to one of the challenges, one of the cons of being everything seller is your branding identity. That means what should I call my business? How am I gonna promote it? Let's say you're using List Perfectly to go to Instagram, right? Which I highly recommend for creating branding awareness. But how did it come? We know with you was very easy because you love the red color. So then I assume, that inspired you to be Club Red 97.
Yes, but I see. I don't have a social media following. I don't have this. I rely on eBay and other platforms to drive traffic to my store and my closet. So I'm
Yeah,
not big on branding. I happen to use Club Red because I wanted
yeah,
to bring red in. And to be honest with you, when I bought my house and I pull in there and I had a bunch of friends over
yeah,
in the summertime, and we were sitting in this backyard that was still dirt with a pool in it.
yeah.
And I just gotten, I don't know if I gotten something put in, like maybe the fire pit or something like that. But because the inside of the house, my kitchen was a lot of red stuff. Somebody said this reminds me of Club Med. We should call it Red.
Oh,
And so Club Red was the name of my backyard oasis for all those years. And then I don't know, at some point I just moved it over to eBay.
Tilly saying she might have spent too much time on one night a listing party trying to find your red toast.
We had this conversation one time because, yeah.
I see you crack me up.
And it's funny because so yeah, so Jill likes the color red too, but we played this game was like, okay, show me everything red. And all I had to
Yeah,
do was like do this and do this. And I have
yeah,
red pins and I have a red, eBay cup. Like just everything on
wow.
my desk was just red. And it's like, but let me just tell you, all those other people on that call were going toe to toe with me. A lot of people have a lot of red in their life. So it makes
Yeah.
it makes the world a better place.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, let's talk about now. We've been teasing you, okay, about Teresa doing, yes, you're hearing it right. Teresa is niching down in a marketplace. And you wouldn't believe, if you're guessing it's eBay, you're wrong. So, Teresa, tell us, you're niching down on something that when I asked you today briefly before the live, we were preparing. She gave me the news, and I was really excited to see that. And I loved your answer. Why not eBay? So, would you elaborate on that? Because for me, that was mind blowing.
Okay, so I've been on 122 Zoom calls today. So are you talking about the quilting stuff?
Yes, the
Okay,
niching
yeah.
down. That's it.
So
Yeah,
yeah, so because I was just telling somebody this story. Yeah, so I am going to. We were on listing 101. That's what it was.
yeah,
I'm going to. Most of you know that my mother passed away a couple of years ago, and she was a quilter. Um, that is her legend that she left behind. Is she was
yeah,
a master quilter, and
yeah.
she owned a quilt shop for 17 or 18 years.
Wow.
And so she left me all, and I am a quilter too when I'm not being a reseller. She
Yeah.
left me all of her quilting supplies and her fabric and her sewing machines and all that sort of stuff. And
Uh-huh.
she told me when she was alive, I just want you to sell all this stuff on eBay and you can
Right.
take all the money for all of the help you've been type thing. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I wasn't paying any attention
Uh-huh.
to it. So I am going to do that. And for that, I will open, well, I'm working on this. Right now, I'm not going to open a new eBay store because somebody asked me if I was going to do that. And I said, no,
Yeah, and why not?
because I already have a store that gives me 10,000 listings and I'm only at 6,000. So it's going to take me
That
a long
thing,
time
see
to get,
money.
but I have already created a second Etsy store because I think on Etsy, that's important for repeat buyers. And on Listing 101 today, somebody just convinced me that when I'm ready, that I should do a Shopify store for the quilting supplies because quilters
Yeah,
will be return shoppers.
yeah.
So, I'm not ready there. I'm not there yet, but I should within the next year be ready to start listing all of that stuff.
And do you remember what is the cost on Etsy to open a different second store?
There's no cost to have a different store at a different account. You will still pay the same 20 cents an item to list it for 4 months. So that was a no-brainer because I'm going to pay 20 cents either way. With eBay, I am going to, yeah, Desiree is the one that convinced me just by answering a question on Listing 101 that, oh yeah, I should have a Shopify store.
Yes, you're
Um,
amazing.
yeah, just for listing the fabric and the notions and the quilt books. And I mean, my mom quilted for
Uh-huh.
60 something years. So some of this stuff is real old and vintage, and some um, notions and tools and stuff like that, quilters will want. I was already selling some of her stuff. I was selling magazines,
Yeah.
and so of her stuff and giving her the money. And so I know there's a market for it. It's just she has a lot. There's a
But you
lot of stuff
do
she
something
collected over
very
the years.
good on being a niche seller, that you create a brand loyalty. And that's very important because you create a very strong potential loyal client customer base. And
Sure.
that's something that one of the biggest benefits that I think of being a niche down seller. It's just really, really easy to create brand loyalty. And also, that will make your marketing efforts where they're organic. Maybe you're paying for promoted listings on eBay.
Yep.
Uh, maybe you're doing some sales in Etsy, etc. That will make also your marketing efforts easier because you're focused on a niche. And another thing is having an easier inventory management system. How is that one of the benefits? How would you say that? I haven't done both, Teresa. What would you say, is the going to a niche down? Are you going to have it on a separate part of your inventory system? How are you
Yeah.
going to manage that logistic?
I probably will, only because it'll be fabric, and so I can, like, and I already have my fabric sorted out, like get a half yard and a 1 yard piece. I actually do, when I photograph fabrics in half yard and 1 yard pieces, I do put them in an eBay shipping envelope, and on the outside of it it says the fabric number, which is in my SKU. So those are the things that do get pre-packaged. And so
Nice.
because of that, then I know what size. I already have boxes that I know that I can get, 120 pieces of fabric in a box, and I can do that. And those boxes are not as tall, so I can put 8 shelves on a rack and
Yeah.
get that many more. So yeah, it's just a different beast. I might, I don't know. I haven't thought about it that much, but like the notions and stuff I can integrate, books I can integrate. So it'll be a mixture.
Nice, nice. So, one more thing, anything else that we can talk about before I go to the cons? Yes, now we're going to go to the ugly and the downside of being, and the challenges, maybe not ugly, but there are challenges like everything in life of being a niche down seller. Anything else you would like to add, Theresa?
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing of being a niche seller that I'm looking forward to is return customers, and then having buyers buy more than one item.
Yeah.
99% of my items are single items shipping to one person. I have just a handful of return buyers, and I only know it because now eBay tells
So
us.
true.
But
So true.
I do have one woman that lives in Utah that keeps coming back for old VHS
VHS
that
tapes.
I
Oh,
have.
let's say it three
And
times.
so, but other than that, I don't really have return buyers. So I'm looking forward to that. And Desiree on Listing 101 today was talking about how
Yeah.
she markets it, everything that she sells has a sticker with her Shopify store. And that's really what got me thinking, like, oh yeah, that would be so easy. I don't have a social media following, but I
Yeah.
can have a online e-commerce following. So
Right.
that makes more sense.
No, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so now, one more thing, the focus expertise, it's much easier once you are what I'm talking about, focus expertise. When you're a niche down seller, it's easier to gather knowledge about that specific category that you're choosing. It's easier to learn about it. So that's one thing, is to keep in mind that your ability to become an expert, it's easier, more than learning everything. And then, of course, you have a specialized leverage when you're going to do customer service, because you have product knowledge of what you're selling. Yes, product knowledge is a big part, okay, when we're doing customer service, to avoid returns, avoid the first. Sometimes people open, don't you agree, Teresa? Sometimes they open returns and then you explain them something and they're like, oh, I'm sorry. And then they close the return. And I think that that's one of the, when I niched down to vintage clothing, it was so easy to explain to people, hey, this is a vintage item. Yes, the zipper might not run smoothly, all right, because it's a vintage item, but it's an original talon with a teardrop size, and it's bronze, and you're talking about
Yeah.
it. And then they're like, oh, wow, thank you. I didn't realize, appreciate it. And that's like you're using your knowledge. And that for me reduced dramatically returns, especially when back in the day, there was a part in which when you were top rated seller, you have to accept returns mandatory. There was, I'm not sure if it is still like that. I'm just talking what we went through at that part in
Right.
our journey with Amanda.
Yeah. And I think that that's very true. And I think that some new sellers end up niching down to something that they are already knowledgeable in, just because that's
Yeah.
what they know.
Yep. And I've seen the most successful sellers starting in that journey. At least I've noticed, okay, with the lowest loss, okay, that I witnessed. I think we all know that we're going into the reselling game knowing that we're going to make sometimes some errors. We might list something a little undervalue, or maybe we accepted a return without knowing that, actually, we were right. So there is meant sometimes, again, that power of having the product knowledge when you're niche down. But let's talk about now the limitations or the cons of being a niche down seller. So we're talking about now a limited customer base and a risk of market saturation or decline. What are your thoughts on that, Teresa?
I think it depends because, yeah, so in the overall scheme of things in the reseller world, if I go and just start selling quilting items, will I be niched down to a smaller customer base? Yes. But do I still think that that customer base is huge? Absolutely. And because I would niche down, like I mean, I don't sell a lot of quilting stuff right now. I sell a piece of fabric
Yeah,
here, a piece of fabric there, maybe a magazine.
right.
But I think that when you niche down, so that's
Uh-huh.
because I'm just getting the one or two quilters out of the whole universe. But if I niche down, I
Yeah.
will have a more concentration of those quilters to go to my store. So it can go both ways. I absolutely see that, yes, you do limit your market base because you're not going to be in the market to buy a quilting book or supplies or anything like that. But so it can go both ways. I think it just depends on what you're selling and how you look at it. So, yeah, limited customer base is a possibility, but I
Yeah.
certainly don't think that that is. I think that's a balance of a pro and a con. I think that the pro of that is that you
Yeah.
get a more concentrated effort, so maybe you'll get more sales, and the
Yeah.
con is that it's going to take you have a small subset of the entire e-commerce buying community.
Yeah, and this, I want to leave this the kudos to Trish, that today is not able to be here, and of course, Dag, we love you, and happy birthday to Dag. That was like I think that yesterday his birthday. So I'm sorry, on Sunday. So I just wanted to, because we put so many posts saying happy birthday,
I
Dag. I
know
lost
you
count.
don't
But
remember,
his
you don't know when
original
we're
birthday is on Sunday. But I wanted to say that Trish was talking about market saturation when you are niche down. Seller, and I have to agree with that. So if you are doing a niche and you're just selling on Grail, or you're just selling on Depop, or just Poshmark, and you are not putting your items on multiple marketplaces that receive that specific niche, you're missing out on on so many opportunities. That I think it would be a, of course, everything sellers also benefit from cross posting, but I think that because of the market saturation and the different audiences back in the day, eBay was like, and it still is, the biggest marketplace with the widest audience, period. But
Right.
the thing is that sometimes even in your niche, your listings can get lost because it's such a wide, big audience. So it's gonna depend of multiple things. Like Tom in Seattle was talking about, very something that I want to bring that up because I was waiting for the perfect time, Tommy. And I wanted to say, for new sellers, can they expect item to sell as fast as an established seller? And that's a firm no. No, I'm gonna speak from eBay. Okay, every marketplace is different, but I'm gonna tell you, when I did my second and third vintage store, we noticed that the traffic wasn't there, and it's important that you have some sales before you start putting your good stuff. Would you agree with Teresa? Teresa, what would you say
Yeah.
about that?
I mean, listen, if we talk about eBay, eBay absolutely needs to vet you. And so, they give you limits, they give you listing limits, they give you dollar limits.
Yeah,
And it's not impossible, but it just takes a little time. You have to be patient. You have to list, you have to sell some stuff, I always tell people, because they come to me because they have their family heirlooms they want to sell. Don't start selling your family heirlooms. If you want to sell your family heirlooms, go to a consignor that has an established store, because yes,
yeah,
they will be able to get they're going to be higher in SEO search. They're going to know how to do stuff. They're not going to have to prove themselves as a worthy seller to eBay.
yep,
And that's going to be faster. But if you want to get into this, and I always tell people, you either have time or you have money. So if you have the time to list your items and you want to list them and take the time for them to sell, then you get all the money. But if
yeah,
you have money, then you can sell your item. This is not a good analogy, but it's, if you have the money, you can pay, then you give yourself to a consigner, and then they take half of it or whatever the profits will be. But they're doing the work with their established store. And I think that if you're a consigner, I think that's a part that they leave out, is really pushing the fact that they have an established business on eBay and all these other platforms, and their
yeah,
items, your item listed in their store, is
yeah.
going to be seen and better searched and all that other good stuff.
Yeah, and also we're talking about one of the things I wanted to add, Teresa, is one of the cons or challenges that we have when we niche down is that we depend. We were talking about the process, the product knowledge. You can
Mm-hmm.
hyper focus, but also having that product knowledge later, okay, it's gonna force you to stay on top of trends,
Mm-hmm.
because when you're a niche, you need to stay like you did on the beginning. You said if you were selling landline telephones, right? That's something, a
Well,
challenge, right?
when you say market saturation, what first thing popped in my mind is somebody that wants to sell an iPhone. If you search iPhone on eBay, there's 100,000 of them, and they're all going to have, like, there's nothing different. It's going to be
Yeah,
this model with this much RAM. It's going to be newer. It's going to be used, and you compete with all of those people. There's nothing that will set you apart. So I don't know. I'm sure there is something to set you apart, but the just the search for, I want an iPhone 14, and I want this many, and whatever, like, that takes iPhone sales down to this one particular niche, and there may
yeah,
be 100,000 people in that field, and how are they going to find yours? I don't
yeah.
have the answer to that, but I don't want to be an iPhone seller.
That would be a challenge.
That would be a
Becomes
challenge.
a little competition of prices and
Yep,
shipping, how fast you ship. So sometimes you need to drop your values, just ship right away. People love that, okay, and they will pay extra because
for
we
sure.
want our items. You know how it is. How many of us, we buy something and then the next 3 minutes, did you ship it? Did you ship
I know.
it?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, I had a penny, Teresa.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um, so I guess the next one that we could talk about would be the growth challenges. If you are, this is a con, this could be a con.
yeah.
If you are niche down, so let's just use my mom's stuff. At one point, I am going to have an inventory problem. I will be dead, but I will have an inventory problem, because eventually you list and sell all the things.
Yeah.
And then what are you going to do? And
Yeah.
so, I happen to have a very large backup, but I think about a guy that I know that closed his plumbing business. And so then
Yeah.
he was selling all of his inventory and his parts and all that sort of stuff that he had. And he was selling it on eBay, and he was loving it because he was making way more money selling these parts that he had bought than he was, actually having to go out and service things. But there came a point where, oh, everything's listed now. Now
Yeah.
what do I do? So, he had his niche. He
Yeah.
actually ended up expanding and doing other things because he liked it so much. But yeah, so you can there can be growth challenges, and maybe if you only want to still sell plumbing parts, that's going to be a challenge. But if you won't have a growth challenge if you want to then expand from being a niche to an everything. So
Yeah.
you can go from everything to niche to everything.
It really depends of resources, your objective, your passion. And like I always say, don't copy what everybody's doing. Try to, yeah, do take the advice from us, test it, but see if it fits you well, and then reiterate and then move forward. I think that's key. Discard, keep what it's good for you, and discard the rest, right? Teresa, what about income challenges or fluctuations? What would you say about when we niche down?
So yeah, so you can, if you niche down and you niche down, really far to where, I mean, I think selling red things was a pretty narrow niche, but it wasn't my full-time income. Like I said,
Oh,
it did serve me well for many years, just for my spending money. But yeah, you can, let's say that you're selling holiday decorations. So you
yeah.
may have a really high Q4 and a really low Q2. So seasonal items that are niche, I think, can absolutely have that impact of income fluctuations. And you can have the most fabulous Q4 and have the worst Q2.
Yeah.
So you just have to know your inventory, know your niche, and maybe you want to keep selling your Christmas holiday decor, but you want to expand to do something that sells in the summertime so that you can have balance on during the winter and the summertime. I mean, there's 1,000 different ways to manage that so that you can combat the income fluctuations.
Absolutely. And one of the things, that we should consider when niching down, okay, it's they really depends your revenue. The amount of revenue will depend on the trend of your niche. That's crucial that you select a niche, okay, and be aware that if you're selecting a niche, okay, that income will fluctuate depending of what's trending on that niche. So it's important, like we said again, product knowledge will give you, with a niche down market, yes, certainly it will be easier to acquire and master your product knowledge. But I think that is not knowing at that point, is staying current in the knowledge. So what you're selling is not outdated.
Absolutely, yeah. You don't want to be in 2024 still trying to sell office desk phones.
Oh, thank you. Yes, hit those
Yes,
thumbs up and
Kimberly.
show us some love. I appreciate it. Thank you, Kim. That's Kimberly Rose, our amazing community manager. We love you, Kimberly.
Yes, for sure.
And so we have, okay, let me see if I have, one of the things I want to remind everybody, if you are creating multiple stores to maybe you sell everything and you want to niche down and you want, like Teresa, in Etsy doesn't cost you extra, or maybe you're doing it on eBay and you're deciding to pay the extra, to open another store. Depending on what you do, just remember that Least Perfectly supports different multiple stores at no additional cost with any plan we support. I just wanted to put that out there.
Yep.
And then I have an important question that it's been waiting. Julianne, you've been waiting there, but I'm gonna give you this question to Teresa. Teresa, when are the listing parties?
So listing parties are, you just go, if you are a List Perfectly subscriber, you have access to listing parties with your paid subscription. Go to listingparty.com. And it's hard to explain, but I try to explain to people, it is a built-in community with other List Perfectly subscribers. And there are basically, go to the events page. we call these listing parties, they are Zoom calls. There's one this afternoon. That's what we're on to right now. But there's one this afternoon that Star and Dawn host called Creative Conversations. And they are, that's obviously the wrong graphic, but that's all right. They are creative conversations. And, the idea behind that is that you could be listing or you could be crafting and chatting or whatever. Mastermind happens every morning at 6 a.m. Eastern or Pacific time. There are daily customer support calls with this List Perfectly support team. And we have other ones. Today, we have Listing 101, which we do once a week. Star hosts the true crime, and she's now, if you're into true crime, you can be listing and talking about the West Memphis 3. I don't know what that is. And then
a crime show. It sounds like a crime show, Theresa.
It is, yeah. So for those of you that are into true crime, and Jill hosts a Friday night list and sip every other Friday night, which are a lot of fun. They start at 5 p.m. Pacific, and they go to this is your time zone. This is why it says 9
I'm in a different time, so don't look at it, people. Okay.
But it starts at 5 p.m. Pacific, and sometimes we go till 10 or 11 o'clock. And there are a lot of East Coasters on there at 10 or 11 o'clock Pacific time. So that is 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock their time. So it is a great resource for community. And there's also a 24-hour room that you can click on that. And there's usually people in there, and you just, sit and chat, get quick answers, because everybody's a List Perfectly user. If you have a quick question about List Perfectly, you can hop in there, and everybody is so willing to help. It's great.
Melissa says crime show junkie.
There you go. So now you found your people there. They do a 1 p.m. Pacific time on Fridays, and that is their true crime. And they get on there and talk about true crime and it's nice because you have somebody to talk to while you're listing.
Yeah.
And sometimes you could be in these parties and they're basically a Zoom call, and everybody's working away and nobody's talking, and that's okay too.
Yeah.
So listing parties are fun.
So I'm going to say, whether you're niche down or everything, I'm going to say, Theresa, did you hear the news?
I heard the news. I may have spilt the beans a little bit on Listing 101 today.
Oh,
the news is
the news.
It's active.
Spill a little. Can you give us a teaser to our amazing audience? Okay. We can say, spill a little the beans. Come on.
I'm going to spill them all because it's active. So List Perfectly released a feature a couple of weeks ago called Listing Assistant. It is, and I say this, but I save this for the big things. This is a reseller game changer. And what Listing Assistant is it will take and create your title, which is what it was doing a couple of weeks ago. But today, they released an updated version, which now creates your title, your description, keywords. It'll fill in these fields that you have, if you have your color, if you have your size, all from one picture. It will take up to 6, but you don't have to have 6. It will do it from 1. So I have been playing with this for weeks. I have yet to stump it. It is so everybody says AI is junk. AI is as good
as AI. The cheap AI.
Yeah, there's different AI. List Perfectly developers have tweaked the AI prompts and tweaked the stuff so that it doesn't give us all these flowery descriptions with a bunch of adjectives that nobody needs, and it really gets it down to concise. It will put in bullet points for us. It is designed and tweaked and taught the way resellers list. And so, it's using Express Lister. It's called Listing Assistant, and it is a game changer. My VA was, when she was using this, when it was just the title, and List Perfectly was just generating the title, and she was getting 40 to 60 listings done a day while photographing too. Like, that is how different. She works 7 hours a day. But it's funny because I texted her yesterday and I told her about it. She's off for the summer, being a camp counselor, like a normal 22-year-old would want to do. But I told her about it, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, that's amazing." And then her next question was, "But will it be as good as eBay's?" And I said, "It will be better. This is the test to see if AI is smarter than eBay's, where
We took
eBay
a
has the
different
10,
journey.
and it
We took
does,
a different journey from
it's a
eBay.
different journey.
Absolutely different journey.
Yeah,
You don't have to teach list perfectly
right.
how you want to list. All right. We're resellers. Okay. I'm not saying, that how eBay chose a different path. They wanted to create their own AI, their own logic and everything. And kudos, hey,
Yeah,
they're a
for sure.
multi-billion-dollar international company. We have to go with something that is more sure, more already ready to help you now. We can't afford to give you, hey, we're going to give you good AI in 2-3 years. I can't do that. Or 1 year. We don't have that luxury. That's what I want to say. So you can't compare never the
Right.
AI that
Let me
eBay or
let
free
me,
chat
let me
GPT or any
right.
free services. You can't compare.
Right. And this is like she said, List Perfectly's developers trained this to work for resellers. And I only say that because I've been talking to a lot of people and they're like, "Oh, I hate AI. We have all these flowery words. We don't need them." And so that's why I bring it up. Now, let me just tell you, do I use eBay's AI? Yeah. If I cross post or like it's something where I just have the title and the description, I'm going to hit that description and builder and tell eBay to build, because that's fine. It's not horrible. It's just, this is much better when you start looking at this. Yeah. Jill is loving Listing Assistant. Yeah, it is a real game changer
Thank you.
for resellers. And if you are watching this and you are like, "No, I'm against AI, I won't do it," give it a shot, because it really is. It's good. List Perfectly has trained it to do what we want it to do. So
No, thank you for spilling. There you have it. She spilled the beans.
I didn't
And that's why we call you T Money.
I didn't there's another, so if you were at Listing 101 today, I spilled another bean because I forgot that my account has some testing features on it, and I thought it was released, and it's not released. So
I do that. You know how many times before we go on a live or with a client, okay, and I'm doing a demo, and I'm like, wait, which version am I using? And my first question to the tech team is like, which version do I have? I'm
yeah.
like, make sure I have the right one. I
And
know that's
for those of you that are watching this live today on Wednesday afternoon, there was an update that was released today. So go and check it, and it'll auto update for you. But if not, you can auto update it yourself. Yeah.
Oh, look at 40 Kiefer. How are you? I love what he said. He listed some remotes last night and even picked up the model. And that's a nice thing that you can go literally to your desktop, and let's say that this is a barcode, and I go here and you point to your camera and it will do beep boop. So it's just, you can do it with the phone, etc. So it's just
I
another thing that I like of the Express Lister, especially me that I have deformative arthritis, is that I can custom the modules. And
yeah.
that for me, what I mean is you can custom the way you want your listing flow. And that for me is just mind
Yeah.
blowing. That's another thing. Big things are coming.
Yeah, and so now that we have all these fields that we can customize it, I put the SKU and the price at the top because those are the fields that I'm going to fill in, and then I just have everything else down there that List Perfectly can fill in, and then I can just tweak it really quick. It's so fast. It's really quick and easy to do that. And
Yeah.
I was going to say, with the AI what it picks up, I was demoing this morning somebody, and I had a roll of border Mickey
Yeah.
Mouse border wallpaper, and I
Uh-huh.
had written on the back of it 12 feet because I'd measured it, and we took a
Yeah.
picture of that so that we would know to create the listing.
Yeah.
It picked up my handwritten notes that said 12 feet and put 12 feet in the description. Like,
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. We do measurements too.
yeah, and I did a pair of pants where it wasn't a good shot because this is when we were just taking pictures, and I'd done the inseam, and the my hand is in the way of the tape measure. The inseam was 29 inches and it said it was 30 inches. So it was close, but because it didn't see the 29 on there, it was an estimated guess. But I mean, it's still like, I just changed it to 30 and I didn't have to type anything else. So it
Yeah.
is crazy, crazy.
Oh, you reminded we added so much to that listing assistant that I forgot with the picture. It's, you have to, we adjusted even if the item is on it because we have to count it. Remember that we had the items of the clothing ball that was on a mannequin. So the measurements were inaccurate. So we're like, okay, so now we have to make sure, okay, that is counting for these variations. So we took even the time to adjust our AI to what is needed in order to reduce any kind of return. So where was this listing assistant when I started this journey?
Well, exactly. And it's been a journey. And it is, I mean, AI's come a long way. AI's
Yeah,
come a long way in just the last 6 months. Like it's crazy. But embrace it for what we use it for. And there's nothing rocket science about creating a title and a description. So why not let the computer do it for you?
exactly. Exactly. And I want to remind everybody in the meantime, Teresa, I want to remind if you're not in our Facebook group, okay, just go to Facebook List Perfectly. This is where we can continue. Okay, you can tag me or anything. We're always here in our Facebook group. You can see a lot of posts.
Yeah.
Everybody's posting there. So Teresa is moderating. She's been with me from the day we opened this List Perfectly group. Then we had the incredible, amazing Kim
Kimberly,
Rose
yeah,
helping
she
us.
takes care of the majority of that right now.
Yes, we have amazing Kim that's been incredible, taking over the responsibilities of taking our community. Also, I want to remind you to follow us. Maybe you like Instagram. So I just want to give you, a reminder to follow us on Instagram, at least Perfectly Inc. That's it's been our new handle for a couple of years. We have two accounts, but that's the one that you want to use in order to stay connected with us. The curator of thrift says, I just set up my express lister field. So there,
Way to
that
go,
means
Todd.
yes, Todd has just customized the way he wants the express lister to flow. And it's important. That's an inspiration that we got from, we started with eBay, with the customizable columns, because we wanted then the cha-ching. So we always are seeing what, in this case, it's a niche. Software is a niche. So that demands, all right, we were talking about, when you niche down, right? That you have to stay on top of trends and what's needed. And I think that's a beautiful thing of having these options of niching down or not niching down, but either or. Express lister, listing 101 with Theresa. If you're not attending listing 101 on listing party, you're missing out.
Yeah.
Okay, Theresa, when do you go live?
Listing 101 and this is the other thing that we like about listing party. It's interactive. So we have people here, talking in the chat and typing questions and comments. But when you're on a Zoom call, it's interactive. And so listing 101, we've been doing this for almost 3 years now, every week for almost 3 years. And, the purpose is to ask, ask any questions. So we talk a lot about List Perfectly. I demoed the new Express Lister and Listing Assistant today, and how to move the columns, the fields around and set. But we oftentimes we talk about eBay shipping because that's a huge hurdle for a lot of people. We talk about the Macari fees. We talk about anything reseller related. It's Listing 101, and I do have someone from customer support that's on that call with me every week. And so if there's any kind of support questions about List Perfectly that I'm not really sure, we have somebody there that can help answer it. So it's been going on for a while. At the end of the summer, it will be 3 years that we've been doing it. So I like it. I like the community. I love it when I see new people, but I like it when all the old time regulars are there.
Yeah, that's
So yeah.
something that we strive for as resellers, because remember, there is many companies there, but we're the only resellers that we taught ourselves coding, all right, and not coding just to understand the reselling world. So having said that, okay, that's the most important thing for us is our community. And yes, it's beautiful to acquire new customers, but retaining our amazing community and taking care of your needs and delivering what we promise, it's a mission that we have with Amanda and our team. And thank you, Teresa, for always going on this crazy ride with us.
Oh, no problem. You know what? If you are a List Perfectly user, and
Yeah,
I'm all the ones that here are live, I know, but if you're watching this after the fact, if
yeah,
you get frustrated and you have a thing there, do not spend. You should not get from 1 to 10 in your frustration. Once you hit a 2 or a 3, check. I mean, you can always do the customer service. Customer service is available 24/7,
24/7.
365.
Yep.
If you want to jump onto Listing Party, go into the 24-hour room, like I said, everybody in the community is so helpful. So, I mean, just don't let yourself get to that point where you're beyond frustrated.
I love what you said. If, from 1 to 10, when you are literally 2, 3 minutes, 5 minutes down the road, no question is a challenge for us. We're here to take care of you. That's why we have, that's why we're always adding new features and waiting to hear your feedback. We want to hear any challenges you may have.
Absolutely. So there you
Well,
go.
there we got it. It's 8 p.m. and it's time to say goodbye without saying we will miss you this Friday. But this
Yeah.
Friday, I have a little surprise that we're making, and that's why we're not able to go live. We'll see you next Wednesday and next Friday. Yes, okay. We're going to be with you. Have a beautiful rest of your week. And to those of you, come to Listing Party and hang out with Teresa and myself. We wish you many sales. Thank you,
Thanks,
T-Money.
everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Have a beautiful rest of your day. We love you all. Bye.